All right, welcome to NFL Outdated Cover 2 series. This episode is on the San Francisco 49ers. I am joined by Bigg, the host of the BTSE 365 podcast. How's it going?
Man, everything is smooth, my brother. Everything is smooth. How you doing?
Hey, any day I get to talk about football is a good day, right?
Facts.
And it's been an interesting season for the Niners. I mean, they snuck into the playoffs, right?
We did.
But, you know, uh, I live here in Wisconsin. I'm a Bears fan. I did tell you that offline. So, but that was a team that, everyone was, the Packers were scared to play. And obviously, it came to fruition. Talk about, kind of your emotions through that game, that big win against the Packers.
Well, first of all, I want to say appreciate you inviting me onto your show, man. I really, 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 really appreciate that. Thank you. But as far as the game, the emotions were everywhere because I've been a Niners fan since I was 4 years old, and a couple of my best friends are Packers fans. My dad's a Cowboys fan to kind of go a week
Wow.
before that. So it's been emotional. Like the last 6 weeks have been wild. But watching the game play out how it played out, I'm a realistic guy. I
Mm-hmm.
did not, when we went for it on 4th and 1 with 6 minutes and like 40 something seconds left in the fourth quarter and we didn't get it, I lost a little faith. I was like,
Oh, absolutely.
Rogers is about to go down here and at least get them 3. We're down 10. It's under 5 or 4 minutes left in the game. It's over. I blinked and we got the block punt touchdown, and I was like, oh, it's a ball game. It's a ball game.
Yeah, when I saw that, living here in Wisconsin, my son is a Packer fan, and I actually put him off to bed, and he's like, "Oh yeah, the Packers are going to win." I'm like, "Oh yeah, probably." And it just the way it looked with that Jimmy G interception, and just the way the offense was going, and the defense was stopping on that fourth down and everything. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, they just can't do anything. It's over. But yeah, with that punt, I as a you know non-Packer fan, I was excited. I was surprised, and they had to kind of run that in there. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been a touchdown, right?
Right, right. They had to. Like, it was, in my eyes, that was probably like one of the weirdest playoff wins we've had. I remember the Giants game back in like 2000 something, but this was like even more strange. It was stranger. Like, that was wild.
Yeah, I mean, there just wasn't anything kind of going, and something about Jimmy G, and so I had a question here, and he's such a polarizing figure, right?
He
So,
is.
what side are you on? Are you on the Jimmy G no matter what side, or are you on the Jimmy G just lately side?
I'm on the team side.
Okay.
So I I do have my I have okay, for the question, for the sake of the question, I'm pro Jimmy G until he starts doing the dumb stuff. Like, I don't mind him being the quarterback, but God, man, he makes it hard to be a fan.
Yep.
He makes it tough. That interception at the end of the second quarter, or near the end of the second quarter, it's 1st and goal, man. 1st and goal. Just throw it away. Take
Hmm.
the sack, throw it away, whatever you got to do, but don't do that. And so that's what bothers me the most about Jimmy. Like, I like that he's tough. You know, he's playing through a couple of injuries, and he's doing everything he can to try to wield his team. It's not because he necessarily wants to. Maybe he wants to a little bit, but he has to because he's auditioning for his possible next job too. So,
Hmm.
I'm a fan. I'm not like the Twitter heads who are just gonna, they're either super gung ho Jimmy or they're like cut him today. I don't know. I'm not that guy, but I appreciate what he's doing.
Absolutely, and I was trying to look. I know I told you offline. I did interview a 49ers podcast, and they talked about obviously some of the things that Jimmy couldn't do at the
Hmm.
time, and I told him that they needed to create a segment called Jimmy Would Never. And so when you think about it, there's so many things. It just seems like that he can't do,
Right.
but what he can do is win in the playoffs.
He's he is by far one of the better quarterbacks we've had, which is why I can appreciate him because I remember Jim Drunken Miller. I
Oh,
remember
yes.
Tim Rattay. I
Mhm,
remember these guys who were just awful, like did
mhm,
not belong at starting quarterback for the 49ers.
mhm.
So I mean, hey, hell, I remember CJ Beathard last year,
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and the other like it's tough when you're the quarterback for a cornerstone franchise. So I give him the benefit of the doubt, but it's also tough when we've seen great flashes and then all of a sudden you see weird things happen like that bad pick we were just talking about. So it's
Mhm.
I love what he can do, but he does make me grow gray hair.
Well, especially with what that defense is doing, you don't want to take away. I mean, just how good they were playing in that game, just those mistakes. I mean, they should have really, had the lead even before the end there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And shout out to, I'm not sure if you know Silverado Kev, the All 49ers SI podcast. He was the one that I connected with. And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So that was definitely a fun conversation. And, when you talk about the Niners, I mean, there's a lot of history there. I got the picture in the background, the Super Bowl trophies, you
Right.
know, and they're really, I mean, poised now to get to one, especially with their history with the Rams. What is this? What have been the keys to like 6 straight wins against the Rams? I mean, it just, I mean, that doesn't happen. I mean, why is it happening?
Well, that's our little brother. Then we
Yeah.
kind of just own them. I know Stan
Hmm.
Kroenke owns them, but for some reason, I think the Yorks are silent partners and they kind of own part of the team. But
Mm.
all jokes aside,
Yeah.
it's just I mean Shanahan he knows McVay
Hmm.
and McVay. It's not even just that. McVay is like this. How can I put it? He was the shiny toy. Everybody got him, and Shanahan was that guy at one point, and we snatched him up and brought him in to San Francisco. But McVay, like, he's not a dog. He's not a killer. They're up 17-0, and he's cheering in the end zone. And I'm like, I know you're up big early, but it's early. So I think it's more of a mindset. Like, they're LA,
Hmm.
they're glitz and glamour. We're going to bring in all these guys. We're going to throw all this money out here in these draft picks. And then you're looking at San Francisco in the North, who traditionally, I mean, it's San Francisco. Like, if you watch the Joe Montana doc I was telling you about, it
Hmm.
goes into some things like the mayor was assassinated in the 80s or late 70s. Like, it's just a different kind of city. So I think it's just the DNA of the team. Like, Aaron Donald for the Rams is Hall of Famer today,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. Yep.
Jalen Ramsey is on his way to being in the Hall of Fame.
Hmm.
Von Miller, Hall of Fame player, but you just got him in there. You just brought Ramsey in. A lot of those guys are brought in. And so the 49ers, a lot of the guys who are stars were drafted.
Hmm.
Armstead is stepping up. Deebo is, if it weren't for Aaron Rodgers, Deebo Samuel is the MVP of the league. If we won 13
Mm.
games this year, I think he'd be getting way more consideration. So Jimmy G's the outlier of the situation because we traded for him. But
Hmm.
everybody else, these are draft picks. So I just think we have a different type of tone in the locker room than the Rams do. And that's why I think we're able to always be able to be so resilient. Like Jawan Jennings is a 7th-round draft pick, and he
Hmm.
came up with huge catches against the Rams at the end of the year. So it's just, I think it's just more like all you hear the talking heads say it. It's just a matchup thing. We're a tougher team. We're just a tougher team, and it goes back to the head coach.
Yeah, and kind of going back to the head coach, I did see a clip of him. I believe he was with the Browns with Mike Pettin,
Mm-hmm.
and and I don't know if you've seen that clip, but basically it was toward the end of the game, and Pettin was trying to tell him what to do when he was there. He said we should run here, and Shanahan gave him this look like, "Don't tell me what to do," and it was kind
Right.
of that. This is my show, and he ran a play and it was obviously not a run, and they got a touchdown, and they showed a clip of Johnny Manziel talking with Pettin, and Pettin said, what play would you run? And Manziel said that play. So yeah, I mean,
Exactly.
when you talk about Shanahan, he's got those moments, right? And you say he's a dog, right? But then he's also got this thing that's known as well, that he puts people in the doghouse. So,
Yeah.
do you trust Kyle Shanahan in this moment, in this game?
Yes, and it's I'm glad you said that, because somebody was talking to me earlier about guys being put in the doghouse.
Mm-hmm.
Ayuk early in the season, the other receiver from Washington that we sent over to the Giants, or he got cut or whatever. I can't even remember the guy's name now.
Yeah.
Dante Pettis, that was his name.
Oh yeah.
So all I say to that is just how I brought up Jawan Jennings. These guys, Kyle needs a certain type of player at all positions. Like Deebo Samuel, a second round pick, Jawan Jennings, 7th round, Ayuk, 1st round. And people were like, why would you draft Ayuk over other guys? If you have this edge, this toughness in your DNA, Trent Sherfield, who came over from the Cardinals, he is, every time I see him on kickoff, he's like pushing somebody after the kickoff and they're butting heads. And I'm like, wow, these are my receivers. So guys get in the doghouse, but it's all because of them. Like, I was wondering what was up with Ayuk. I'm like, why are you not playing this guy? Like, what's going on? But then something clicks later in the season. He's catching balls everywhere. He's all over the highlight reel. And it's like, well, Kyle knows what he's doing. They just got to trust him.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you talk about him too, I mean, the difference, there is a difference between him and McVay as well. With Shanahan, he could have, dumped Jimmy G. He stuck with them. On the other hand, Sean McVay didn't want any part of Jared Goff and went out and got, hired gun for the season, and, Stafford.
Yep.
What is that, say about Shanahan?
Well, I can't do what I really want to do and be like, yeah, you're right, because he's admittedly tried to go get Aaron Rodgers, which I don't blame him for that. He tried to get Matthew Stafford too, but he was a little too slow on it. And then he ended up giving up 2 first-round picks and drafting a guy that he's going to groom that he likes, which I can't knock him for that.
Mm-hmm.
But I also look at it like, well, you had the chance to put the rookie in,
mm-hmm.
and you won't do it.
Mm-hmm.
You're sticking with your guy because you see what the locker room says about him. Like today, Deebo Samuel tweeted, I see a lot of people talking smack about my quarterback, but you need to check his win percentage. Y'all are funny. So I'm like, okay, Kyle had every chance to say, okay, I'm going to put Trey Lance in and see what he can do. He tried him week 1, think he might have sprinkled him in week 2 or 3. After that, you didn't see him until Jimmy was hurt and couldn't play. Like he doesn't even do the trick plays or anything like that, which sometimes I've yelled at the TV saying, hey, put him in. And then I'm like, well, as long as we're winning, I'm okay. So it says a lot when your coach trusts the quarterback, the veteran. He's 30 now. And he's like, this guy did play in a Super Bowl. Like, we're one Emmanuel Sanders throw away from Patrick Mahomes still looking for his first ring.
Yeah.
So it says a lot about a coach who can trust his guy and trust his players. So I just respect him for that.
Absolutely. And you talked about Deebo Samuel. He has kind of been that Swiss Army knife. I believe, what they say, there was a special position that he talked about, wasn't it? And I can't remember.
Back.
Wide back. Yeah. I mean, when you look at him, when you have him, you don't necessarily need, a Trey Lance to come in. Trey Lance can kind of, have a chance to learn and stuff. But, really, Deebo Samuel has been the difference. And I guess what I'd like to talk about too is he looked like he got hurt in that Green Bay game. How healthy is he going to be going into this game this weekend?
Man, about as healthy as you could want him to be. It was cold out there Sunday. Like I saw one time on the screen, it said it was felt like 2 degrees on the field. So people you're getting hit and it's cold and your body's hitting that hard ground. So, and then you saw him limp off after he got the 9 yards, which helped seal the deal. And I personally, I'll probably say, even if he doesn't practice this week and he's doing all his treatments and stuff, he'll probably be at 75, 80%, which 80% Deebo is better than no Deebo. You know what I'm saying? So I can sit here and say if him and Trent Williams are 75 to 80% ready for the game on Sunday, I'm taking that over whoever the backup is. That's it, because you can trust. It's about trust right now too.
Mm-hmm.
Like you asked about Shanahan, you can trust these guys to make the right plays at the right time. So as long as he's 75 to 80, I say put him out there.
Yeah, I mean, and you talk about Deebo Samuel, in being a dog, just just gonna do what it takes to win. I mean, uh, when I kind of sat back, oh, maybe I lose you there. I sat back as a Bears fan and thinking, okay, Aaron Rodgers is going to be that guy. I was scared, for him kind of going in. I'm like, he's going to be that guy, and he just didn't do anything. I maybe lost you here.
I'm here.
You're here, okay. So I was scared for what Aaron Rodgers was going to do,
Mm-hmm.
but he, in that cold weather, he just kind of wilted, and Deebo Samuel just like took over. I mean, when you look at kind of, is Deebo the main key then when you look at this game, against the Rams?
Definitely. Against the Rams, I wouldn't say he's the
Okay.
main key. I'd say for the team as a whole, he is. But for this game, that's why I said Trent Williams too,
Yeah.
because the way we run the ball against that defensive front, it's like they don't want to play against that. Aaron Donald does not want to play against the run. Von Miller does not want to play against the run, especially at this point in his career. Like he's strictly an edge rusher. Those other guys out there don't want to play against the run. Like I don't mind Jalen Ramsey having 10 tackles in a game because that means he's had to come up, or
Mm.
Eric Weddle who they just signed off the street. Like, yeah, bring him on. Like I'd rather Eric Weddle had 12 tackles. That means that Elijah Mitchell was getting 8 and 9 yards of carry, 7 yards of carry. So I think Trent Williams for this game and that O line as a whole is more of a key than Deebo. Now, don't get it twisted. He's definitely an X factor because he's, like you say, the Swiss Army knife. He does it all. I mean, the game against the Rams we won, he threw for a touchdown. He ran for a touchdown. Like,
Yeah.
what more do you want? So, yeah, he's definitely, if he's not one, he's 1A. I mean, 1B.
Yeah, he was getting those tough yards, and that's what you want to see when it matters. And you brought up Elijah Mitchell. Like, talk about his emergence. I mean, it was really a tough start to the season. You got the running backs going down, and obviously I play fantasy football, so everyone picks up Trey
Yeah.
Sermon. You think Trey Sermon's
Right.
going to be the guy, but Elijah Mitchell, he has just been a find, hasn't he?
Man, I'm shocked, right, about him. And it's funny we're talking about him. I had a conversation with somebody about him earlier. And it's because, again, the coach, when they see stuff in practice, everybody talks about it. Like practice is where these guys are making their bones, especially at running back, because I mean, Kyle Shanahan is just like his dad. He uses whoever is hot. And if you
Mm-hmm.
can go out there and you can block, I think that's where he separated himself. And it's like, okay, yeah, he can. You see him, he hits the hole, he goes. He's a tough runner. He doesn't fumble the ball. But when you see him go out here and he picking up the blitzes and all that stuff, it's like it's something special about that. Like Trey Sermon is probably having trouble picking up blocks and stuff like that, ball control issues. So you don't want to see that out of your rookie. If
Mm.
you're a rookie, you definitely don't want to fumble. And if you can pick up blocks, like I'll say this, the Dallas Cowboys, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have Zeke, who's, for whatever reason, he doesn't have that burst anymore. A lot of carries over the years. And everybody's talking about Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard's okay, but when I see the blitz coming and I see 21 in the backfield, he's always smacking a linebacker. He's always picking up the blitz, which is why he's staying out there because he's protecting the quarterback. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that's what Elijah Mitchell brought to the table that Trey Sermon and Jermichael Hasty, those guys didn't. And then when you see him actually run the ball downhill, then that's why he missed 3 games and he almost had 1,000 yards rushing this year.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hey, I can appreciate a 6th round draft pick doing that.
Oh yeah, and so he's the present and future in the backfield, right?
Definitely. I wouldn't be shocked, win, lose, or draw with this Super Bowl. We may let Mostert come back, but I know he's like 31. Try to get like a 4th round or 5th round pick for him and say, hey, thank you for your time.
Yeah, and I'm a Bears fan. Obviously I said that earlier, but he had a cup of coffee with the Bears. They let him go, and he was doing amazing with the 49ers. But just the injuries, you feel
Hmm.
bad for a guy like that who has that talent, that would go down. But obviously, with Elijah Mitchell, yeah, he is really expendable going forward.
Yep, Elijah Mitchell. Hopefully Trey Sermon will get better in the pass protection and ball protection. And you still have Jermichael Hasty. You got Jeff Wilson Jr. They may want to bring back. But there's another running back that I can't. His name slips my mind at the moment. But we got 4 guys right now. So
Right.
Jeff Wilson's a free agent. I think we only gave him a 1-year deal this year. So you may want to try to sign him back on a cheap deal because he missed most of the year and keep that veteran presence with Mitchell, with Sermon. Maybe keep Hasty as your 3rd down guy who can catch the ball out of the backfield. But I think most of it's gone after this year.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. That would make sense, especially with what Elijah Mitchell's done. And when you look at another, I'm an Iowa guy as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, talk about the importance of George Kittle. I mean, he was injured, came back. What does he mean to that offense, but even that team?
Heart and soul.
Hmm.
Heart and soul. It's my guy who retired, Joe Staley,
Yeah.
retired a couple years ago. So I think when he left, George Kittle, even though he's young, he became that guy.
Hmm.
Like there's not a lot of if you look at the team, there's not like a lot of old guys on the team. Like they got rid of Buckner because he was about to, be an expensive player. So and he was young, but you don't see a lot of 30-plus-year-old guys starting on the team. Like Jimmy's probably the oldest starter. No, Alex Mack, the center. He's
Oh
he's
yeah.
he's like 30, and Trent Williams is probably closer to 30 now. So, but George Kittle being what a 5th round, 6th round draft pick, being one of the top tight ends in the league, but he blocks.
Hmm.
That it's all about the identity. Like I was saying about Kyle, like when your best players go out there and they do the little things that nobody else wants to do, nobody else is excited to do. Like George Kittle gets a pancake block and somebody scores a touchdown. You think he went for 75 yards to the house because he's running and jumping everywhere. So I don't think anybody not named Deebo Samuel is more important than him. Like because if you go back over the season, right, we were 3-5 at one point. During that stretch, George Kittle was hurt. He didn't
Hmm.
play.
Hmm.
So we had Deebo, we had Trent.
Hmm.
Jimmy only missed 1 game during that stretch,
Hmm.
but George Kittle was not playing. So when he came back, the running game picked up, the passing game picked up. Everything just kind of went up a notch because energy. I mean, just having him on the floor, on the field, just opened up everything else. So he's probably the most important player outside of Deebo Samuel.
Yeah, I love his energy. Obviously, being an Iowa guy, tight end you, and him kind of creating that and just really kind of helping other tight ends learn the blocking and all the nuances of playing the tight end position. It's amazing to see, and I'm definitely a Kittle fan all the way.
Right. He has to chill out with the drops and the occasional fumbles. But him being who he is, I can
Hmm.
let a little bit of that slide, especially early in the game. I don't mind it early in the game because
Hmm.
down the stretch he was clutch. But yeah,
Yeah, he dropped. Yeah, I thought it was he dropped an easy one, but then he made that sliding one on the.
right.
Yeah, so
It's
yep.
it's just like Jimmy. Jimmy will miss a wide open guy, but he'll make a tough throw sometimes. I'm like, well, I don't know. I'll take the good with the bad, I guess.
Right, absolutely. Well, with the good as well, talk about the defense and what they did against Aaron Rodgers, because Aaron Rodgers just didn't look like himself, and obviously he was focusing on Devontae Adams, but a lot of that was because of the defense and what they were taking away from him, wasn't it?
Man, D'Amico Ryans, I'm afraid he's going to be the head coach of the Vikings here soon.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but what I will say is he's done so much. You can see every week he's gotten better with what he had. I mean, Jason Verrett goes down,
Mm-hmm.
Emmanuel Mosley missed time. We've been playing, might as well be playing with you and me out there at corner.
Right.
Like it's been crazy. Like and what's wild about the whole thing is we pick up Josh Norman off the couch. He's created some fumbles, but he has terrible defensive pass interference calls. But that front seven has never wavered. Like Armstead, Bosa, and Warner, to have Bosa come back off the ACL injury, and he should be comeback player of the year. He should have been considered for defensive player of the year. I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
His sacks were crazy. He didn't make the All Pro team, but the guy from Oakland made it, Crosby, and I
Mm-hmm.
saw his numbers and I was like, what? But that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather have a ring than him be an All Pro. But
Absolutely.
with Warner getting paid and coming back and playing all pro level. It just and then once we lost to the Packers earlier in the year, he stepped up and said, "Hey, it's my bad." Like the deep after when we went 3-5, he was just like, "Look, the defense is on me. I'm the guy. I'm the big paid player. I'm the signal caller. It falls on my shoulders. I can respect that." And Armstead, there's a lot of noise around him when Buckner left. We
Mm-hmm.
drafted Kinlaw. Kinlaw hasn't panned out, injuries. But DJ Jones, Hurst up the middle when they're healthy, they're all great compliments. So everybody like works so well together that it makes the defense look so good. Man, look, I'm gonna just tell you right now. I can say this with a smile on my face.
Yeah.
Watching them play week 3 against Green Bay
Mm-hmm.
and then watching them play Sunday, I was so proud because all I heard was Adams and Rogers and it's cold. I said, man, look, it's 2 degrees for everybody. Like
Mm-hmm.
nobody wants to get hit in the cold and fall on that ground. Uh, Adams ended the game with 90 yards receiving. I had a guy, no lie, I had a guy call me before the game and say, hey, I'm doing these parlays. Um, Adams is slated to get like they want over under 93 and a half yards. And said he's going under. Man, I don't know. I was like, listen, he's
Yeah.
going under. Like,
Yeah.
we're not going to make the same mistake we made in the first game where he goes off for 120, 130 yards in the
Mm-hmm.
game with 90. It's the defense. I'll say this and I'll let you go to the next question. I'm sorry, but I'm
No, this
I'm
is
I'm
great.
like I'm like proud of the defense, man,
Mm-hmm.
because Emmanuel Mosley stepped up huge this year. Verrett's been down. The rookie Ambry Thomas, who saved the day with the pick against the Rams, he didn't play Sunday. Hope he has a bone bruise on his knee. Hope he's back this Sunday. Um, Tart, Ward, Hufanga, who comes up with the touchdown on the block punt. I'm just proud of the defense, man. Like as a whole, they have stepped up even when it looked terrible, like against the Colts. Oh my God,
Oh,
that Colts game was probably the game that made me age the most this season because that was a winnable game. I know it was raining,
mm-hmm.
but we had so many awful defensive pass interference calls. It was just, whew. Anyway, I'm sorry. I got to
No,
stop there.
yeah. And it really, I mean, when you look at the 49ers, obviously the defense has been, amazing for years. I mean, that's kind of been the identity. When you look at, this game, do you see them beating the Rams?
Definitely. It's
Definitely.
it's
Okay.
it's it's hard to beat a team that many
Yeah.
times in a row now. I
Yeah.
will say that. These questions is funny and so natural
Yeah.
because I was literally talking to a Rams fan
Yeah.
20 minutes before we got on. And he's a truck driver and he was like, yeah, I can't be stuck in the truck stop when my team beats your team Sunday. I'm like, look, man, I know it's 7 times. I know 7 is a lucky number for some people, but
Mm-hmm.
7 is the number of Colin Kaepernick, and 7 is
Oh,
the
there you
number of
go.
completion, and 7 is the number that it's going to take to get to play in SoFi again, Levi South. So I got us winning 31-20.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a dog in the fight, but I definitely think when it comes to just having something on a team, I mean that means something. I mean,
Right.
obviously every game is something else, but after a while, it's like, what does this team have on me? And a lot of it sounds like talk about D'Amico Ryan's with the scheme and everything, and putting his people players in the right spot, and then obviously having the guys to do that. I mean, Green Bay had, didn't have a very good special teams, but
No.
that's the thing. Even if they have a bad special teams, you have to have guys that can actually, execute. And
Right.
obviously they did.
Right. It's I say for us Sunday because we're gonna have to play a complete game again.
Mm-hmm.
Rodgers is very one-dimensional with his receivers.
Mm-hmm.
This guy, Matt Stafford, is no slouch. He's no bum. So even though I think he's a bum, he's no bum. But it's gonna take a lot. It's gonna take a big effort again because I mean Cup, Odell,
Mm-hmm.
Higbee,
Mm-hmm.
Jefferson, but that offensive line is suspect. And
Mm-hmm.
I saw Matthew Stafford hold the ball a lot against the Bucks on Sunday. So if we can get to him, we got him.
Yeah, and kind of going along with that. So what next if they win? What would you say that the most exciting Super Bowl matchup would be for you as a Niners fan?
Well. That's a great question, man. I love your questions, man. Let's just say this, right? Let's
Mm-hmm.
just take a walk down memory lane.
Mm-hmm.
1988,
Doing
Joe
the
Montana beats the Bengals.
shuffle.
Icky shuffle. I'm wearing their colors today, actually. Joe Montana beats the Bengals. I like smoking Joe Burrow. I like the history there. We do owe the Chiefs. We do owe
Mm-hmm.
the Chiefs. I mean, of course, for ratings, the more exciting game would be the Niners and Chiefs. The narrative is, the Niners trying to get revenge from a couple of years ago. Can Jimmy G redeem himself? And yada, 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 yada.
Yep. Yep.
But I don't think the Chiefs are going to beat the Bengals.
Really.
I really don't think, and I know I'm very much in the minority here. I know I am, but it's just something about Jamar Chase and
Mm-hmm.
Joe Burrow together, and what I just saw Josh Allen do. I mean, if his team can stop 13 seconds, then we're having a different conversation. So I think for me, if we win, when we win, the more exciting Super Bowl matchup is the more exciting Super Bowl matchup is Chiefs Niners, but
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna be Burrow and Garoppolo, and we're gonna have to teach the young buck a lesson.
Yeah, when you look at it, yeah. So I did a podcast with the Bills, a Bills guy before that game, and I just it just seemed like this was their turn,
It was, man. It
and and
was.
and obviously you look at it, and the coach kind of got in the way. The coaches kind of got in the way there because like you just sometimes you outsmart yourself, and with that he just took such a step, as a quarterback, as a leader to just say, I'm going to do this. And
Right.
I looked at that though. Mahomes said, nope, I'm still here, and that was, I like to see different teams win, different teams in the Super Bowl,
Me
right?
too.
And um, I don't see, Mahomes, relinquishing that easy,
No, it
that
won't be easy.
that's the thing I worry about that is that offensive line, for the Bengals, right?
Yeah.
So it and when you look at the Niners offensive line, are they going to be able to in this game then hold off the Rams?
Man, it's like a scheme, man. Like
Yeah.
Shanahan is the son of a head coach, right? And they
Hmm.
talk about it sometimes, but I don't know if they overstate it as much as they should because you gotta like you we spoke offline about when you watch the 49ers and stuff like this. So you remember the Broncos,
Oh yeah.
like you remember even when Shanahan was like the offensive coordinator for the 49ers, like those teams have a certain way of just beating you down and grinding. Like Roger Craig isn't this superstar running back, right?
Mm-mm.
But he was so powerful and strong. And then our fullback at the time was like so strong. So this offensive line, the way he schemes, and Bobby Turner, the running back coach, who's 100 years old, who's still coaching running backs, like the way they block and scheme for an Aaron Donald or Von Miller, it makes it easier for us. And
Yeah.
so I think that he may get a sack Sunday. He might. Donald might get one because he didn't get one in the last 2 games, but he might
Mm-hmm.
get one.
Mm-hmm.
But I still don't see him being like this dominant force that we're used to seeing.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a good game though. I'm kind of excited.
I tell you what, yeah, I mean, when you talk about like, scheming, coaching, I mean, that's definitely something I can appreciate as a Bears fan. With Justin Fields,
I love
his
that
first,
kid.
oh, me too. So I do as well. And thankfully they kind of, got rid of Matt Nagy because in that game,
God.
in that game versus his first game with the Browns, I mean, I had to turn it off because they were trying to get the guy killed with just a scheming offense. The line, they were not doing anything to really go with his gifts, number one, but then
Mm-hmm.
even go with the gifts of the offensive lineman. And so they were trying to get too cute. So when you talk about coaching, you look at this, Shanahan, versus, McVay has been known to get a little too cute sometimes.
Way too cute.
Yeah.
Way too cute. He's way too cute. I don't know if he's thinking he's going for a modeling contract or what, but you can't be cute playing football, man. You can't
Nope.
be cute. You go out here, you got Tom Brady on the ropes, you smack him in the mouth. You coach. It's all about coaching. Cam Akers fumbles, yes,
Mm-hmm.
but Matthew Stafford holding on to the ball as long as he's holding on to it. It gets to a point where I'm saying to myself, you're trying to give the game away.
Yeah.
You're trying to give the game away at this point. And I'm upset. I was happy they won because they had such a big lead.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, God, it took, a blown coverage for Cup to get the ball down there. And then, football is a grimy game.
Mm-hmm.
It can be, hey, a lot of finesse teams have won sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
excuse me. But when I think about football, I don't think about pretty.
Yeah.
As the late great John Madden would say, the game is won with those big uglies up front.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why every game I'm always telling people, man, look, the 49ers have a chance. Oh man, you're just a homer. You guys are sorry. I'm like, no, listen, we went 3-5, right? George Kittle was out. I mentioned that. But
Mm-hmm.
we got the best left tackle in the game. We got a former all-pro center. Like, our defensive line is stout. We sacked Aaron Rodgers 5 times. Like, that's why I think the game is made for us. Like, it's made for us. It'll be tough against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl if they make it, but we got this year.
Well, so, okay, let's go to the ugly side, right? So,
Right.
what's next if they
I know.
lose?
If they lose, man, I don't even like speaking like that.
We'll do it quick. So,
for the sake of the conversation, though,
yeah.
if we lose, of
Jimmy
course,
G's
Jimmy's
gone, right?
gone. Jimmy's gone.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we can get the Steelers to give us a first-round pick for him.
Mm.
I know some people are like, well, why would you? I'm like, look, man, he's 30. He's not going to be the most expensive quarterback. You don't have to worry about drafting the guy. I mean, hell, they can't draft a quarterback to save his life. Dwayne Haskins isn't the guy.
No.
Your offensive line is so-so, but it's good enough. You got some weapons on the outside. You got Najee Harris. Your defense is good. You made the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need Aaron Rodgers per se.
Mm-hmm.
Get you Jimmy G is made for a town like Pittsburgh. He's solid. He's clearly can go through adversity when his back is against the wall and still plays solid. He plays hurt. I mean, he's a good-looking kid. I know that's not, the Pittsburgh way, but, hey, he's a good-looking kid. He went to Eastern Illinois. He comes up the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Roethlisberger went to Miami of Ohio. So it's not like you got to get a guy from USC or my favorite team, Miami. So I say a team like Pittsburgh gives us a first-round pick for him. And, hey, Trey Lance, you're up.
Yeah.
That's where it goes. If we lose, that's how it goes.
So actually go back to that then. Let's go back to the what if they win argument as well. What if they win the Super Bowl?
Mm,
Do they keep Jimmy G on
that
like maybe a 1 year deal or something like that?
man, that right there is the $1 million question. And I
Hmm.
was asking myself, what would I do
Yeah.
if we win the Super Bowl and I'm the GM and the head coach or whatever owner? What do you do with number 10? And it's simple. It's real simple. You keep him unless somebody can give me both first round picks back and a third round pick, then I'm gonna keep the guy. Well, Chris, you traded, 2 first round picks, yada yada yada. You got this kid. Hey, the Packers sat Aaron Rodgers for 3 years. He turned out okay unless he's playing us.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, hey, the kid will play more next year. I'll let him play more next year. But I'm
Yeah.
keeping Jimmy. I'm not re-signing him or extending him, but I'll
Is
keep him for 1 more year.
how long does his contract go? How
I think
Jimmy
he
G?
has 1 year left.
Okay.
So
Okay.
this year, but it becomes like if I'm not mistaken, after March 1st, he's gonna be like guaranteed like 25 or 26 million.
Oh
If I'm
wow.
not mistaken, you can when we get done, we can fact check that. I can't
Yeah.
remember specific, but I know it's 1 year for sure. He
Yeah.
has that 1 year left.
It's such an interesting thing. I mean, Trey Lance. I mean, I actually spent some time in uh, Fargo.
Mm,
Actually, I actually worked at the Fargo Airport for a year, so right there by NDSU, and I'm a Trey Lance fan, but obviously, he's not quite ready,
right,
and that's okay. Maybe he said 2-3 years, um, and you know the Niners, they're built to win right now, right?
exactly. And Trey, if you watch the Joe Montana doc I was talking about, I wasn't around then. I was born
Yeah.
in '88, and it's fun to watch. Steve DeBerg got the
Hmm.
boot for Joe Montana after so long.
Oh
He was
yeah.
putting him in the game. Steve Young was getting inserted into the game for Joe
Hmm.
Montana because he was injured and stuff like that. So I mean, it's not like it's never happened,
Right.
and it's not like it hadn't happened in this franchise. So it's just part of the business. You win a Super Bowl, we can't let you go now unless somebody wants to give up the house for you. But if not, then hey, we'll run it back.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, with that defense, with Kittle, I mean, obviously, there's going to be a lot of decisions that need to be made, and you know, as far as this weekend, I mean, what are you kind of looking forward to, most about the game? Or are you just gonna, are you someone that just kind of watches the games by yourself, or you kind of,
Yes,
yes,
yes. I
yeah,
cannot watch games with people. Um, I can watch them with my girlfriend sometimes unless she start, you know, cheering for the other team or something. But
oh yeah,
other than that, I love her. She cool. But I can't watch it with like fans of other teams. Like, as a matter of fact, when we played the Rams in the last game, um, I was about to meet with a group of fraternity brothers, but the game was in overtime, and I
oh,
parked in the parking lot. It was like I'm not going inside until the game's over. Like I just don't. I don't answer the phone. I don't
hmm,
respond to text messages. I'm in a group text with a bunch of guys from college. I don't talk to them during the games, win, lose, or whatever. I'm the reason why we lost the Super Bowl. That
ah,
that we I broke my rules. Somebody called me. We were up 10. I didn't answer, but I called them back, and they
ah.
were bragging. I wasn't, and then yeah, we lost. So yeah, it was tough. But yeah, I'm a by myself guy. I might throw some food on the grill or something. Watch
Tell
the
you,
game.
tell you what, like, I'm a Cubs fan, and I was like that in 2016. I just,
Woo,
it was back and forth, and it's different when you have a dog in the fight.
right,
And for me, I'm a fan of football. I want to see a good game, and obviously, we've seen great football last weekend.
the
Is this
greatest.
weekend going to be anything close? Do you think?
I doubt it, man. We won't
Yeah.
see we won't see a weekend like that again. If this weekend is just like that weekend where both games end on game winning drives and a field goal or overtime and walk off touchdown, then I mean we're just blessed. The football gods love us, but I doubt it, man. I'm looking at the Bengals in a shootout. Actually, no, the ones that we think are shootouts never end up being shootouts.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go 24-21 Bengals. But I got
Okay.
the Niners 31-20. And hey, you're a Cubs fan.
Yeah.
I'm a Red Sox fan, so I
Ah.
understand having to wait
Mhm.
almost 100 years to get a ring. So I'm with you.
Well, hey, and I'm not sure if you saw that I tweeted out congratulations to Minnesota Twins great Big Poppy. Uh,
Oh man.
I was actually in Minnesota when he was there, and so I saw a couple of him in person, and so I do the NFC North podcast, and so my Minnesota podcast mate, he had a chance to curse me out for that. So,
Yeah, I thank them. I appreciate them for
yeah.
trading us David Ortiz. I really do.
Oh yeah. Well, this has been amazing. Actually, tonight I'm going to get a chance to interview some of the Bengals ladies from a podcast. So
Okay,
I'll definitely pass along that you're picking them to win.
that's what's
But
up.
yeah, yeah.
I have
And
to check
so
you out.
this has been amazing. Where can everyone find you again?
Man, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at BTSE underscore 365. If you want to check out the podcast, Google it. It's everywhere, or you can go to BTSE365.com.
Perfect, perfect. Well, yeah, thanks again. I'll definitely kind of post this and tag you and everything. And it's been a blast. Thanks
Man,
again.
I appreciate it. Can't wait to do it again. And now I got to have you on the show to talk Bears, man.
Absolutely.
Matter. Hold on, before we go, what do you
Yeah.
think about the hire, Eberflus?
Oh, yes. I like it. Right.
Okay.
Here's I'm actually going to interview also a Colts guy about a little bit, get a little more insight into that. But I like the Eberflus hire because it's a defensive guy, and we've
Mm-hmm.
done the whole offensive guy. And if it messes up, it's gone. So I like
Right.
that. The jury is out, just mainly who he picks as the offense coordinator. That's going to be a huge thing, and I liked the I liked the general manager hire, number one,
Right.
because the Vikings wanted him.
Hey, it's always good when you can get somebody that your division rival wants.
Number two, because he's actually a football guy, which they don't have in the organization. Like he
Very
played
important.
football, he played with Matt Ryan. So he's a football guy. He knows his stuff. Part of the Chiefs organization. So I like that. The big question is, hopefully the ownership is trusting him to actually do his job, and hopefully Eberflus was his hire. That's kind of been the
Right.
thing, and they really need someone to work with Fields, and they have to make it work. So
Cool.
yeah,
We're gonna talk, man. I'm gonna
let's do
talk
it. Let's
off
do it.
camera, and we're
Let's
gonna
do it.
set some other things up, man. I appreciate you so much.
Absolutely. Once again, this has been NFL Outdated Cover 2 series on the San Francisco 49ers. Thanks again.
Peace.